What's up? Hey, Mr. Oh, let me make fun of Will for all of his ideas and plans. I want to put gem number 1. Very smart plan. Very smart play. Well, let me tell you what, Jack Powell. Defeat does not taste good, right? Now you're living my life last season with Kelly number 1.
Shut up. You put gem number 1 as well.
I did. And you always make fun of me for my ideas and plans.
This is ridiculous. We'd like to introduce this episode by saying we apologize for our mistake.
Misinformation. Yeah.
Yes. Welcome everybody to Survivor Stock Watch, episode 5, the most seismic mistake in Stock Watch history.
Look, if you did not watch the last episode, we had Troyzan on. It was 2 hours long. It was great. Troyzan also had gem number 1. All right. So Troyzan was wrong.
And we were wrong.
And we were also wrong.
So the whole show was wrong. Will, so this cover image right here is, from the movie Inception. And the original title of this, like when I was setting it up earlier in the week, was A New Era Inside of a New Era, right? Because that's exactly what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, I changed it. Now it is the most seismic mistake because, oh, dear God, where did we go wrong? We had gem number 1, riding high, feeling good.
I had Kevin
High. And then she goes home with the night of Winterbuck. So we screwed up, but Will, I gotta ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? Because we have told the public our thoughts. We've informed them of what we think, and it has failed. We screwed up, and so now we have to find a way to apologize. What do you think is the best way to apologize to the dear public?
Well, according to a lot of comments I've seen on Instagram and YouTube, we should shut down the podcast altogether.
Okay. That's an idea. Surely.
I think a good apology is kind of make a rule book, explain the idea. That way we're on the same page. I'm totally setting you up. You can go into the next slide now.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
We made a promise last episode, regardless of what would happen this episode, that we would make a rule book. An official rule book. It would be set in stone. These are the rules. Point blank.
Yeah.
And so there are 3 rules, and, we'll add more as maybe time goes on, or we'll, revise as time goes on. The most important rule, obviously, for individual player slides, we are placing them based on their winning potential. This has been the one that's like the most contention because we've either placed people on their winning potential, where we think they're going to place. We've been all over the place, right? Yep. So the person with the lowest potential, Tim,
Hi, Tim,
will be the lowest placement, and the person with the highest, and you'll see both of ours, they're different. They will be the highest player.
Yeah.
Sound pretty good, Will?
That sounds perfect. I liked my input on the rule book. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Number 2, whenever someone has a slash on the tier list, that is permanent now. So it will start episode 3. That's kind of what we originally decided upon. But starting now for this season, it's permanent. Once a player has a slash, they're done. There's no way they can win anymore. Any thoughts on that?
No. However, there are times where a player just gets like shafted for 4 episodes straight, and then all of a sudden gets a lot of content. That's a red herring. I think of in particular Josh from 44. He got no content for like 3 episodes, deserving of a slash, and then all of a sudden, just randomly became the main character of Tika of all places. So just because they have a good episode down the line, like Tim, honestly, I thought this was a good episode for him.
Yeah,
but he's still not winning the season. And so yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. And the last thing, we'll talk about placement potential throughout the show, but that doesn't factor in our rankings. Pretty simple. We will talk about where we think they could place, but that's not factoring into the winning potential. And so, Will's goal was to create a rule book to apologize to the public for misdeeds. My rule is I'm just shifting everything. Like, I'm throwing new rankings in the window. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to see if they stick. Because when change happens, the best way to mitigate it is to inspire more change. And so that's what we will intend to do to you today. And all we ask of you is for forgiveness.
Please.
We ask you to forgive us for our misdeeds because we screwed up.
We did.
The most seismic mistake in Stockwatch history.
Hi, Jem.
Hi, Jem. Wow, we screwed up big time with this one.
In our defense, the editors, I blame them. They put in a lot of red herrings. There are a lot of really small moments with Jem where it's like, hey, Jem could be the winner. I talked about the winning confessional in episode 1. Like, people pointed to like the victory pose in the intro. And honestly, Jem kind of did this to herself. Low key, high key. I think she got comfortable. She had the idol, and she was just playing a little too hard on the tribe that didn't. You couldn't play as hard as Jem was, and then she pulled back when it mattered. So, but I do think Jem would be great for second chances. Low key, high key. What do you think?
Yeah, first of all, Chris, thank you. We are honored for your forgiveness. And Bruce coming in. Woo! Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that one, bud. Look, second chances, sure. If we're hitting 50 for this legendary returnee season of Survivor, bring it on. Right? Jem would be a great Kelly Wentworth type. You go out in the pre-merge, show us what you really got. But she grossly misunderstood her tribe. If she was on a super high functioning, high strategic tribe, I'm trying to think of a really good example.
Nami, right? Like this season, I think Nami would be a better fit.
Absolutely. I think you switch her and Soda, and I mean that's not the best. That's not the best, but it could work. Or her and Liz rather. But
her and Soda, bro, because Soda is all about camp morale, and that's all Siga's about. Honestly, Soda's meant for Siga. Jem was meant for Nami.
Absolutely, and I think Jem just had too much energy going into the discussions here. She was really trying to force her hand, and I think the thing that really got exposed to me, 2 things early in the episode that signaled that we were about to get royally screwed on the Stockwatch here. Number 1, Jem is a horrible liar. Jem went on the show, tried to lie to Tim, and Tim instantly thought it was a lie, and that is rough. That is really, really rough. And the second thing is we saw a Ben and Charlie scene earlier in the episode before they lost immunity, and that clued me in. And when it came down to between Ben and Jem, I had a bad feeling. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I think what it was is that Tim finally woke up, and Honestly, this might be a little controversial. I think Jem's biggest mistake was not sharing that she had the beware advantage. I think
Yeah.
causing so much paranoia in the camp. I get wanting to play hard, I do, but I honestly think if she told at least Mariah or told especially Maria, like, hey, I also have this advantage. We are kind of in control right now. There would be no push to vote out Ben like there was this episode. And honestly, I could just see Tim, leaving like we talked about for the last 5 episodes. So
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. It's been royally screwed for us. And the signs were there. We just got missed. We got played. Got played
Oh, yeah.
hard.
We
Some
did.
comments here. Mona says the fact that they kept Jem's sob story from the episode, they should be wary of any contender without SPV on a personal story. Very true, especially in the new era. You don't really get that strong personal story. It's certainly a knock against you, right? That intro package, quote unquote, is certainly against you. That SPV, as some would say, or that second person view for all the Edgic newbies out there. Will.
Hey, I hate you so much. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing,
he
bro.
private chatted me and said, "What is this?"
I keep reading it on all the r/edgix, bro, and like I can
Look it up, man. There's a great.
I did, and it took me to a Reddit post from 12 years ago.
Look on Inside Survivor. They do it right over there.
Shout out to them, bro.
Yeah, and then Ben was shown in too positive a light. He didn't have a vote. Positive is debatable. We'll get to that when we get to the Edgic and Ben slide as well. But yeah, I mean, Jem, just rough episode. Could have told Mariah. Could have told Mariah. Oh my God, Maria. Could have told Maria and Mariah, and things would have been okay. But it's not.
Yeah.
And so now we move on to the stocks with a new focus with the rule book. And Hunter has barely moved for either of us. You can see he thought Stephanie played Survivor before Sandra. So
I can't blame him.
Props to him. How do you think you do in that challenge? Well, organizing the seasons, you are on an island for 10 days. You're dirty, you're hungry. How would you do?
I would do well because I first saw Survivor. I saw it in chronological order, except for Cagayan. That was my first season. So I saw that and I was hooked. I'm like, all right, cool. I like Survivor. Let me go to Borneo and work my way up. And so I feel like that was Hunter's big flaw because he saw him outside of chronological order. I don't blame him, and it doesn't make him any less of a super fan or whatever, not knowing the season's in order, but I am convinced I would have done really well. What about you?
Yeah, I think I do pretty well too. I mean, I was 2 months old when I was sat in front of the TV to watch Survivor. Like my parents sat me down and they were like, "You're watching this show. There's no other show that you're gonna watch. You're watching Survivor on TBS." And I was like, "All right, let it slide."
Pretty much.
And so I think I do pretty well as well. But it kind of raises the question. We've never really seen a challenge like this before on US Survivor, right? Like we have seen challenges like this on the Challenge, where they chronologically order seasons. We've never seen a true Survivor trivia challenge in this fashion.
I think we have.
When was that?
Wasn't there the challenge in All Stars, right? I remember there was the one clip of like the guy who used the alphabetical strategy. It was Dr. Sean and Jenna was laughing. I think the other time there was like a Pringle reward challenge where they had like Survivor fun facts on the back, and so there's like a scene where they were playing like trivia things. But honestly, I'm not a fan of like these callbacks. I think it's cool for the edit. But it's a lot of flash. I feel like you should not have to know all the seasons to play Survivor. It's different than like, someone practicing at home and then like seeing the challenge. Like I get that. That's cool. But this is just straight up. Do you have a Paramount Plus subscription? You know,
Do you have a Paramount Plus subscription?
I do. I got
He
it.
does.
And I'm balling. No commercials. $15
Wow.
a month.
If it's 15 now?
I think so. I think,
Oh,
or it might be 10. I don't know.
I have no commercials because like I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, college kid here. But yeah, and so we're still kind of the same on Hunter in terms of winning potential. We're still kind of in the same ballpark here.
Kind
Will
of.
he win?
I
Will he
think
get eliminated early?
I think he's getting the edit to win, because when you're a big guy like Hunter, I feel like if we never heard anyone doubt him pre-merge, I feel like that would be too clean, right? The fact that we heard Venus, say like Hunter's a big threat, and the fact that Hunter's now in this, cross-tribe alliance with, what was it, Q and Tim?
Yep.
I feel like if Hunter is the winner, right? If he is, I feel like we're getting the edit that he would normally get. He's under the radar in just the right ways. It's clean, but I don't think it's too perfect yet. And for that reason, I put him number 1.
There you go. Will's number 1 is Hunter. We'll see if that pans out, or he'll get eliminated next episode.
Yeah.
Liz got one brief confessional where she didn't want to hunt for idols, much akin to our boy Bruce, who popped in a little earlier.
Yeah.
Not hunting, not really caring while he was at the auction. But Liz is still pretty much the same for us. It's content. I do wonder. I mean, winning potential is surely low and non-existent. But in terms of placement and potential longevity, I think Liz could have a decent run and go pretty far.
I could see it, but I feel like she's kind of like Kendra from last season. I feel like Kendra was just too weird of a player. Like when we were doing a rank hard to really rate where she was, there was not a lot of longevity. Like we could have had her going out at like 5 or early merge. I feel like Liz is the type of player where we're gonna be like, okay, Liz could make it very far, maybe to the very end, but I think realistically she's like juror number 2. That's my 2 cents.
You think that early?
I think so. I think the problem with Liz is that the fact that she wasn't out looking for idols on the Nami tribe, it was very fish out of water. I feel like she's the type of player to just latch on to one player, have that alliance and just kind of be along for the ride. It feels more journey centric than it is like strategy. Like I feel like she's more on the show to show she can do it, which respect. I like when people are playing for stuff outside of just winning. But I feel like the lack of, teeth, the lack of activeness is what's going to kill Liz in this game, my opinion.
I think you have a point there. I mean, we haven't really seen Liz's. We've seen people kind of not necessarily work with Liz, but not work against Liz. Like I feel like Hunter has talked to Liz at a decent amount of times. Tevin trusts Liz to some degree. And I think Liz will maybe, if a Nami contingency opens up, Liz will be a solid number for that. But right now, she's just kind of hanging on, just swimming along, not really doing much, which isn't a bad strategy early in the game. If we saw a little bit better of Liz, though, or more of Liz as well, we'd be higher on her, and she would still have potential. But, yeah.
RIP. What's up, Soda?
What's up, Soda? I gave Liz the idols what because she had a memorable-ish confessional. Soda had like 5 seconds of looking for the idol, and it wasn't much, and it did not convince me at all that Soda should move at all. And Soda is staying right at 12, right above Tim. Don't got a lot of faith in Soda.
I was actually thinking about moving Tim above Soda, low key. I thought the episode was great for Tim, and this is another dull episode for Soda. I like Soda, right? I don't like how she's getting hate on social media, right? Don't do that. Yeah. This is your stock watch PSA.
That is your warning. I know we don't have a lot of power right now, but this is your warning.
If you send hate to Soda, you will see Jack and Will. All right, let's go. Who's next?
You want to go next already?
Okay, what more is there to Soda that we haven't really said? Because again, with the edit,
longevity wise, how do you think she's doing? Because we're at the merge or mergatory at this point. Does Liz have longevity, or do you think it's going to run out real quick?
I think Soda. I could either see her getting out really soon. I still think there's a lot of distrust between her and Tevin. I think that's bad for Soda. And I feel like she can get along with like the Sega people maybe, but I feel like she's going to be a little too gamey, play a little too hard right off the bat. I feel like she's going to have the opposite problem to Liz, and I think that's going to be a bigger threat for everyone's game. I also feel like Nami as a tribe is very fractured right now. I feel like we look at Yanu and they're kind of, while Q wants Kenzie gone and Kenzie wants Q gone, the fact that it's only 3 of them, I can kind of see them just being a trio.
Yeah.
And then Siga, we'll have to see next episode with
we'll have to see
Please leave the podcast.
Okay. Bye guys.
Bye. Anywho, so the problem with Soda though is that she's very no, it's just me now. I just don't see the longevity. And I don't know. I almost moved her below Tim, but Tim just had a worse edit and a worse everything else until this episode.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know. I think Soda doesn't have a lot of longevity, to be honest. I think certainly being mentioned in a negative light in the next time on Survivor, not looking too good. And Chris, a little shout out. Thank you.
My dad's shirt, bro.
What?
I all of my like button ups that I've worn throughout all these podcasts, they're all 100% my dad's that he does not use, that he does not need anymore. They're all, I just took them all. That's my whole closet, bro.
Oh my God. Taking his dad's clothes. Speaking of dads, Tevin,
what's up?
Is next with a 9. He is floating right at the edge of non-potential, but he's still hanging in there. We're still waiting to see if Tevin will pop into the limelight here. Again, nothing this episode except for a tiny little idol hunting confessional. We're ready to see Tevin in the merge. We're ready to see what happens with him. We're ready to see how he bonds with people. If his game is really all that's chopped up to be. Like, what's going to happen with Tevin? What do you think, Will?
I don't know, man. So I feel like Tevin's in a really good spot. I think he's in a good enough position to coast through the bloodbath of the early merge.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he's going to be the first big domino that falls. I think he's going to be the Kelly of the season, or the Noel, or if you want to talk about High. I feel like he's the first big threat that gets voted out of the season. I think his edit is just way too wonky. Honestly, it's the second weirdest edit this season so far, and we'll get to number 1 in a second. Like, it goes from being like way too good to then completely nothing. And someone said it earlier in an earlier podcast, but like the fact that every winner except for Erica has gotten at least 1 confessional every episode, it's bad for Tevin. But it could be worse. It
could always be worse. But Tevin's just coasting right now. Winning potential's at a low. I think a really good mergatory episode would set Tevin up quite well. I think it would set Tevin up to the point where he has the potential to be, be a strong contender. But we'll see what plays out. Then we move to Venus, riding on the back of Hunter to idol finding victory here. I don't know about you, Will, but I have actually removed Venus from winning potential.
Yeah, I have too. I think honestly,
why do you?
The problem with Venus is that I don't get anyone who's saying Venus is the winner. I think her edit is way too negative. It's way too bad. It's way too just nothing there. She had the underdog story earlier, But the fact that her conversation with Tevin was a secret scene, it kind of ruined a lot of. It ruined her stock for me.
Mhm.
And then as time went on, we just heard nothing from her, even though I feel like we would just hear something from the underdog. You
Right.
know, I see it on Reddit. A lot of people are still rating her high, and I could see the argument, but I also do not think she's winning at all. And I feel like it's either you're really high on Venus or Venus is like bottom 5.
Yeah, I've
Bottom
seen
3.
I've seen the same thing. I've seen a lot of people either very high on Venus, thinking that she's going to be the winner thoroughly,
Yeah.
or I've seen people be low on her. We are low on Venus. We don't think the winning potential is going to be there. But Chris has a thought, a theory,
A
crackpot
crackpot.
theory.
If you did not watch the last podcast, you should go and just watch Troy Zan's reaction to the crackpot theory. He hated us, bro.
It's quite entertaining, I gotta say. Yeah, Chris, welcome to the Crackpot Theory gang. Glad to have you here. Easy mergatory boot, potentially. You know, we never really see Venus still integrating. If we saw Venus integrating with the tribe, we would see that scene with Hunter, like we did Wednesday, and unfortunately, we did, and that is a very bad sign for Venus. Jay, what's going on?
What's up?
Will, any thoughts on the mergatory boot? You think it's plausible?
I think it's possible. I think it's Nami that goes, or like someone else, but I don't want it to be someone else. No, I think it's safe to say it's either Venus or Soda. I could see either argument. Venus, she is getting a lifeline. She could meet new people, and she could go to like Siga and Yano and be like, "Hey, I was on the bottom. I was about to go. My closest ally was Randon of all people." So I could see that. I can see a little bit more longevity than with like Soda. Which is why she's above Soda. Honestly, I might move her below Liz.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like once you have the slash, once you have no shot at winning, then I feel like it should be more placement organized, right?
Maybe we add that to the rules. Maybe we change the rules right. Maybe we change the rules right after this podcast. We'll change the rules right after the podcast. Real quick before we go to Siga, again, we're plugging the merch at the top right there.
Yep.
Spring merch, bring it on. You know, Survivor Now is going to be repping hard at the Bryson Wen Present finale, and I will be in attendance.
Someone please look up and see whether or not it's 21 or over. I beg.
Can I be over there?
I'll be somewhere, bro. I'll be at home. I'll be at Outback Steakhouse. No.
Hopefully we get you there. But yes, it is going to be a good time. I am going to my first Survivor event, and so I am excited to go. So,
oh yeah.
We go to Ben, getting chased with the machete by Jem. Tell me who to vote. Tell me who to vote. Tell me who to vote. As she's flipping the machete at him. Ben was the alternate target this episode, and we never really got the strongest feeling that Ben would go home. We got a decent feeling, right? But you know, we never got the best feeling that Ben would go home. Yeah. And I don't know. It was a good episode for Ben, but it became very, very clear, if it wasn't clear the last couple episodes, that Ben is going to be a shield that's cut pretty soon.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, Ben's a weird guy. I feel like yeah, he's a threat, but I also I don't know. I think he's a big Siga threat, but I feel like in a merge when everyone's kind of shaken up, I feel like Ben won't be seen in the same light for a little bit. Honestly, I could maybe see him coasting and getting a little further. I think there is still slight Ben winning potential. I'm not completely erasing him. He's still number 6 for me. That's pretty high. Because if Ben does win, kind of like how I said about Hunter. If Ben is winning, I feel like this is kind of your bog standard winner edit for Ben. And like, yeah, he's a big threat now, but I don't know. Something about it. I'm not buying into Ben slander right now.
It's a good edit. I don't think it's a great edit for him. I think it works for right now, but we'll see how it evolves. I think one thing that's really interesting, and in a way kind of even helps Ben more this episode, there were 6 votes. Ben didn't know if he had a vote, if he didn't. There's questions though, right? There's a little bit of concern in there because if people believe, oh, Ben actually had his vote, great, that's good. 6 votes, great. Unless Maria decides to tell people. If Maria doesn't tell anybody outwardly that she used her extra vote and they realize there were 6 votes, remember when Ben said after the journey that he didn't know if he had a vote or if he did?
Oh, yeah.
If he had a vote, people might think he had something or got something from that journey. And so, interesting little dilemma there.
Yeah. Do you think Maria will tell the truth? Do you think though she'll be like, because that also removes a lot of, I feel like it's in Maria's best interest to say like, hey, I played it, because then there's no speculation of her having anything, right? But then it also gasses up Ben. I don't know. But then it doesn't make sense for Maria to really alienate Ben because she just saved Ben and working on that.
Yeah.
So I feel like Maria is going to tell the truth. I also feel like it's just the Sega way. Shout out to Sega. Still my favorite tribe.
The best tribe. Ben already knew he's lost his vote. Yeah, he did, but he told the tribe if he was unsure he had a vote or not. And so if Mariah sees that there were 6 votes, clearly, and Maria doesn't tell Maria that Maria played an extra vote, she could very well assume, hey, Ben had a vote, meaning he didn't lose it, meaning he might have an advantage, and probably does. He doesn't, but, you know.
Who knows?
It's weird how Ben's edit is being stripped of strategic content. Yeah, there's a tiny bit in there, right? There's a tiny little bit, and we can obviously see it, but I think if he were to have a really strong shot at winning this season, we'd see a little bit more. I think I agree with you.
I don't know. I still think it's hard. It's hard to say because he's still gassed up as like the big social threat of Sega, and I feel like he would be a shield. I feel like he's the type of shield that could be such a big threat that people don't really target him. Yeah. This might be a little too crackpot, but like an unintentional Tony.
Did you just say it?
I said the thing. I said the line. Yeah. No. Like an unintentional Tony Vlachos, right? Where Ben is such a big threat that people are like, everyone wants Ben gone. We can vote him out at any time. So let's just vote someone else out. I could see that. And if that is Ben's story, then he doesn't need to have a lot of strategic content, just enough to keep him in the game and keep him in the narrative.
Absolutely. 100%. I can agree more. And we will see how that continues, and we'll see if it builds in the merge. And if it builds, maybe there's some good sides coming our way. My mouse is not working today.
All right.
There we go. Charlie, staying right at that 4 and 5 range for both of us. Who's the bigger Swiftie? Is it Ben or is it Jem? It ended up being Ben. Charlie was framed as the clear decision maker out of him and Maria this episode. And, that kind of raises some questions. Why is Charlie the decision maker here? Why is he the one being presented with the brunt of the decision? Is it because this is his start of his winning game? Is it a winning move? Is it a death sentence, keeping Ben and then Ben outlasts Charlie? What do you think?
I don't know, man. All right. I don't like how you keep asking me these questions like I am on a Survivor podcast trying to talk.
What are you talking about, Will? We are on Survivor Stock Watch. Mind you not, we have to do our job because
we made the most seismic mistake in Stock Watch history. Vicious season ever.
In the most vicious season ever, we made the most seismic mistake.
No, so Charlie's at 4 and 5 for us, but I feel very cautious about it because I'm waiting for one catastrophic episode from Charlie.
You think a catastrophic episode would come? Because we talked up Drew since like episode 3 of last season, believing he would have this crazy downfall, and he never did.
True. And so I feel like instead of having this like big downfall where all of his allies are getting stripped away, I feel like I don't want to say he's like the big threat, but he's kind of like the Caleb before Kelly, right? In terms of like threats, right? I feel like Charlie is the type of player to go right before like a Tevin, where like he just gets sniped out of nowhere. But at the same time, I say these things and they never happen. And Charlie is just a little too perfect, a little too good right now. But then there's no clear cracks, and so I can't really rank him down. I don't know.
That's fair. I think that's reasonable. There's not a lot of cracks, but at the same time, there's this like nagging feeling that it's a little too clean and it's a little too good. Big question from Chris. Do you think Charlie's the kind of guy who makes the end, but he's so young they don't want to give them money? Listen,
he's 25.
Chris. Listen, man. If Will or I ever go on Survivor, or rather, when Will or I go, and I go on Survivor, when we audition,
yep.
I hope that's not the case. I hope age isn't a real factor. Do I think it could be a factor for Charlie? I don't know. I think he's played a good social game so far. I think people trust him. So I don't really think that's much of a concern, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I feel like the age really only matters when you're like 18, 19, 20. 25 it's the youngest off Siga, but I also feel like I don't know, it's respectable. And honestly, I don't really think we've heard much of the argument of the guys too young outside of Fabio in Nicaragua.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope that when I go on Survivor, they don't think that. I hope they appreciate
maybe they'll think you're like 30, Will.
I will say I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm 28.
Fair enough. Maria taking the bullets for Ben. Not a good episode for Maria, mostly because, in my opinion, she should have been the decision maker here, and she wasn't. And that is a little iffy to me. She didn't get her way with this decision, although at the same time, she was not as close to the boys as to the girls. So she may have gotten shielded from making the majority of the decision content. But one thing I want to point out, and it's really, really smart, and I mean, everybody's talking about it. You know what it is. It's writing different fonts and different name types on the vote. Really, really smart play. Really, really smart.
Honestly, Maria's a really smart player.
She is, yeah.
I feel like of anyone, I feel like she's the smartest off of Seago right now. And so the fact that she's number 5 is a little worrisome because she's been getting some pretty negative episodes. She's not getting shown in the light she should be getting shown in. And so I'm very, very worried. And my biggest fear with Maria right now is that she just starts to play second fiddle, where she kind of becomes the Julie and the Julie D relationship, right? But as of right now, I do sense a lot of longevity with Maria. I feel like she is someone that will stick around until Final Five, unless Siga just gets decimated in the merge, which could happen. I don't know though. What about you?
Yeah, interesting. Jay points out something said on Twitter or X that the extra vote that she used was a burn, and it was intentionally used to get a target off her, which is very smart, very, very smart. But will that translate? Right? That's the biggest question, because you can say these things and we believe you, right? Like I believe that Maria burned it to get the target off her back. That's like, that is in Maria's
Didn't I say
capacity
that?
as a player. Yeah.
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 I was about to say. I just said that like 10 minutes ago.
It's in Maria's capacity as a player to do that. Will it translate though? And I think that's the biggest piece of concern. Do you think it was a waste in that regard? Do you think it was a waste based on the episode, not necessarily what we saw after or justifications for?
I don't think so. I think it's only a waste if there's no payoff. If there's a payoff, no matter how big or small, then it wasn't a waste. Because the extra votes only give you so much power and so much leeway. Have we really seen a vote like where the result changed because of an extra vote?
Yeah, I would say so. I think not necessarily this early in the game, but truly Marianne's game-winning move.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Was
my apologies.
The great, in my opinion, the best instance of an extra vote ever.
Yes, no, I forgot all about that. My apologies. Scratch that. But even then, though, I feel like I love the idea of an extra vote because I love really small, not really powerful advantages, because the worth I feel like is more in the social game of it all, right? Like saying like, I have this information, let me share it with you. But yeah, no, I feel like it made sense. She could lie and be like, I didn't play it. But I feel like that is only a short-term thing to alienate Ben, who's already kind of alienated on Siga if he's getting targeted. So I don't know. My fear is that people just won't believe it, you know, because it's also easy to be like, no, Maria's lying. Ben, had a vote, so he has an advantage. Maria has an advantage. What's like, I could see that.
Yeah,
scary.
Yeah, it's a mess. And Maria, we know she's a capable player, but could she get too lost in the limelight? Circa Heidi back in 44, a little lost in the limelight there. Really good player, smart player, lost to the TK3. One question I want to revisit later from Mona. The late game dragon, that's always a question of ours. 44, it was Carson. 45, it was Katura. We didn't really expect that. Maria and Kenzie. Do you think it could be Maria, excluding Kenzie for now? Do you think it could be Maria?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think, because when we talk about the dragon, we're talking about a player who has such a big threat. Like a big target where they will win the jury. Like Carson, if he touched Final Tribal Council, it was over. If Ricard made it to Final Tribal Council, it was over. But I also feel like there's not really a dragon every single season. I'd argue there wasn't really one in 42 or last season. Instead, it was kind of the mid-merge boot that was kind of the big move that set up the end game, right? I think of Omer and I think of Emily, and they're kind of interchangeable. I could maybe seeing Maria as that player if she gains more momentum and if she starts to call the shots more, and if it's Maria's plan and not Maria and Charlie's plan.
Right. And so that, that kind of hit in this episode. And the last question, but why'd she pick Gem over Ben? Maybe the Chaos Gem was causing, upsetting the vibes. And at the same time, Gem may not have had an easy time in the merge, as much as we like to say Maria was close with the girls, Charlie's Angels, that was an alliance. Could be a reason why Maria loses for picking Gem to go over Ben. Could be a reason she wins. We'll have to find out. Yeah.
I also feel like she voted out Jem more for Charlie's sake. I feel like Charlie wanted Ben in the game more than Maria wanted Jem in the game.
Yeah.
And compromises narratively are always terrible, right? But I get the move, and I think with retrospect, voting out Jem over Ben made a lot of sense because Jem was causing chaos. It's just Maria didn't know all of it. And also, you know, like Ben's a bigger shield than Jem.
Very true. We go to Mariah, who has a similar image to someone before in the podcast. So why move her up, right? Why move her up? This is getting into the discussion of me personally, at least, just throwing shit at the window, see what sticks. I think the biggest question with Mariah, and I think it's on everybody's minds, not just ours, why is she getting focus? Why?
Yeah.
Why is she getting confessionals? Why is she getting the talk? Why is she getting this content? Why are we seeing her? Why? You know, that's the biggest thing for both of us is in another season, Mariah doesn't win, right? Mariah doesn't win in this exact same circumstance of 5 episodes. I think we get nothing. I think we get next to nothing. She gets purpled like Tim, right?
Yeah.
But she is getting stuff. And it's weird, you know? She gets a great premiere. She talks about jumping in episode 3. She gets some stuff this episode, but she's a little shielded as well. You know, it's a random kind of winner. And to me, last thing I'll say, to me, Survivors, I think they're aiming for another random kind of winner. Not Gabler. Gabler was not even random. Gabler was
like the
played.
Yeah, Gabler was like Chris Underwood level of we did not see it coming.
Yes. But Mariah, there are signs. There are really, really good signs.
And I don't know. So I mentioned Tevin had the second weirdest edit. It's clear Mariah has the first because again, yes, she was on the outs. But we think back to her episode 1, and it seemed like a journey edit at first, right? She wants to make friends, make real connections. She had a real connection in Jem, and she had friends on Sega who betrayed her. What does she do next? I think if Mariah has a very strong next episode, I think she has a very good narrative, and I would move her to number 1.
Number 1?
Yeah, because if she has the narrative, right, where she's getting kind of not negative, but like just a little bit every episode, just getting the right amount of content, then I don't know. I think about the conversation she had with Charlie about voting out Ben. She's like, I know this is terrible for you. We did not need to see that. But that is a very Sega conversation where they're playing the game, playing it hard, and yet, you know, doing it in the Sega way. Like the whole jumping scene, I don't know, man.
Well, yeah.
Maybe I'm coping. Yeah. Mariah's still left.
Maybe we are. I wouldn't even call this a crackpot theory. I mean, I think the signs are there. I think a lot of people are missing signs. I've seen a lot of people online say Mariah doesn't really have a good shot. She has some shot, but not really. To us, Mariah's got a great shot, and I think you're right. I don't even think a very strong episode is enough for me to move her up. I think just a decent episode, you know, getting more good stuff from Mariah, I think is all you need. You know, we could be seeing trying to think of a really good example of this. Maybe like a Vesepia type of edit, throwing it way back to Marquesas, you know?
Vesepia's a queen, bro. I love Vesepia.
God, I love Vesepia. We do. But this could very well be that type of edit, you know, pretty under-edited, maybe overall, but positive throughout, you know, really nice and subtly positive. So we're high on her.
Or Natalie Anderson, but the low-key version. She loses her ally, goes on the revenge tour, but does it low-key. Natalie Anderson, I love Natalie Anderson. She's not very low-key. She's very in your face. I could see Mariah kind of taking the backseat and hiding, right? She just lost Jem, just lost her ally. Siga is no longer the happy-go-lucky Kumbaya tribe, and she hides. Allie Gabler. Yeah.
Gabler. Very surprised if an edit from 2002 is replicated in 2024. I just say that because I've actually been rewatching Marquesas because I really like that season, and it's been slowly rising up and up in my rankings as the years go by. But I like the season.
That's a great
We
season.
go to Tim, who exists. Tim was in this episode. He was a part of this episode, a decent sized part as well. It doesn't change it. Nothing changes for us. Too little, too late. Too bad, too late. A lot of people argue for negative this episode. I could see that as well. Tiki fan, Jay, you're right. Just kind of, Tim's great. Tim's there. It's just, and it's any crackpot theories?
I think
have one?
Okay, a possible theory. I don't know how crackpot it is.
Okay, wait. Do you have one? You have a crackpot theory?
Yeah, you play the thing so I can explain.
All right,
myself.
we got to.
Yay!
All right, there we go. There we go.
So I think a possible reason why Tim just got shafted is because one, he's just not important to the story. Two, it could be for a Mariah win. Right? Because Mariah and Tim are two people who really aren't together in any sense of the way. They're on both opposite sides. And so if Mariah is the winner, right, I think Tim is just not important whatsoever on the tribe that has won everything, that's very kumbaya. And the fact that we've heard nothing from him, not like Mariah where we heard not a lot, but just something. The fact that Tim has gotten nothing is very troublesome. Tim, though, I'm not completely down on him. I still think he could potentially have like a weird edit where he just like pops up for like randomly in like the merge and becomes like a big player or like a lightning rod for a round or two.
Yeah.
Again, I might move him higher than like Soda because while it wasn't looking perfect for Tim, he had a fight in him that we did not see before. Yeah, and I think that can get him a little further, or he's out next episode. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree. We saw a lot more energy from Tim this episode, more than we've seen, just because we haven't seen Tim. One question I want to raise here, the journey, right? He goes on the journey. He makes this cross-tribe alliance. He brings Maria in on the alliance as his +1. This is like a cookout style alliance in terms of let me get my +1 to the alliance type of deal. Does it pan out? Do you think it pans out?
No, but I just think a big alliance of 6 never stays, right? It's great on paper and I get why they showed it, but like I don't think it lasts.
I agree.
Also like how they just assumed that Q and Tiffany were going to be tight too. If you've noticed, like when Hunter was talking to Q and when Q was mentioning this alliance, Hunter was like, "Yeah, so you're tight with Tiffany, right?" And Q was like, "Yeah." So we make this alliance, and they're like, "Okay."
That doesn't really help, you know. Doesn't really help their circumstance.
Yeah, no, I just feel like I don't know. I think Tim could potentially spike up randomly. Also, I think the fact that I just don't think Ben is Tim's number 1. I think now we're moving in a direction where Tim believes that Maria and him are number 1, number 2. We saw that episode 1, right? They were both parents.
Maybe that's his downfall.
And that could be his downfall.
Maybe or his downfall is just Maria too much.
That. I think what's going to happen is that Maria, like, if Tim goes, I think Maria is going to be like, look, Charlie, I kind of voted out Jem, so you kind of have to vote out Tim. Like let's just
a little give and take.
Let's
there,
trim the fat a little bit. I could see that as well, and that's Tim's downfall. But Tim is just, I hate it because Tim seems like a funny guy, right? Yeah. Like the Tiki Man thing. Like I want more of Tim, but he's just not important to the narrative.
Yeah. He's not important to the winning narrative. Last thing from Chris here before we take a quick break. It doesn't work. I love that we saw it because surely those combos happen fairly often. I mean, yeah, sure. People are always definitely, like it's as big as the journey and having long conversations. It could be as simple as having tiny little looks at people across the sit-out bench at the challenge, being like, "Hey," like that. That it could be as simple as that.
Like Maria Mariah episode 2.
That was Liz and Mariah.
Oh, who did I say? Maria Mariah.
Yeah, it said Maria Mariah. They're
it's been a long day, guys.
All right, everybody. We are going to take a quick break. We are going to hear very, very quickly from Todd's Pop Shop.
Woo! What's up, guys? I'm Todd Herzog, the winner of Survivor China, and I want to welcome you to Todd's Pop Shop. Here, me and my husband Jess, we custom make Funko Pops. We'll make literally anybody or anything you could imagine. But being that we're here listening to the Survivor Now podcast, I'm assuming you're all Survivor fans. So take a look at these. Some custom Funkos of your favorite Survivor winners, Sandra and Yul. Or how about Big Brother fans? Suri Goddess herself playing the game of Big Brother. You can also get her in Survivor form. Or maybe yourself with your favorite buff and a torch playing the game. But even better, get yourself with your favorite player like Nora here with Ozzy. And since you're listening to the Survivor Now podcast, if you mention this ad, you will get $10 off your first order and free shipping. All season long, Survivor 45 should be a good one. Mention this ad, $10 off and free shipping. I'll be watching too, still a diehard fan to this day. Hit me up on Instagram, Todd's Pop Shop, or toddspopshop@gmail.com, or on Facebook, and I will see you soon.
There you go. Will, real quickly, we're airing out the private chat right now.
Okay.
Todd came up as someone I might know on Facebook. You might know Todd Herzog, Will. Did you know that?
Yeah. And I'm on Facebook right now, and Brandon Dunlon also is on there, and Eden Porter, who looks to be like a Survivor AU person, and I have not seen a season of Survivor AU except for Blood versus Water. So
you're crazy. Eden was just on last season.
My apologies. I forgot I was there during all the recap episodes.
You're nuts. Okay. Really quickly, it's Liz's Pop Shop. Yeah, I agree, Chris. We go to Kenzie now. Finally a win for Yanu. They're free. They have the muffins. Kenzie gets yet another episode of, a lot of people said mixed. I said positive just because of the overwhelming positivity of the win, but I could see mixed. Winning immunity, having this really great triumph, being undermined in a very interesting way, going around and Q or Tiff, and I think it's Q, says, hey, what are you guys listening to? What are you guys listening to? As Kenzie's all going around. We got to talk about Kenzie now that she's making it to the Mergatory. Is she the dragon? Did Badu call it?
I think if there is a dragon this season, because again, just because it's a new era Survivor doesn't mean there's a dragon. If there is, I think it's Kenzie or potentially Tevin, but even then, I don't see as much longevity in Tevin.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear. I think Kenzie has the story. I think honestly, it's going to be kind of like Matt Singh. Where they're so low in numbers and all the other tribes are so dysfunctional that they can kind of slip through the cracks. As a unit, that's kind of their story, I think. But with Kenzie, it's weird because I feel like she's going into this merge with a giant booming target, but it's from Banu. So I don't know if that makes it more or less real.
You don't know if it holds weight.
Exactly. And so yeah, Jay, Tiffany could also be the dragon if you want to put that up. But I don't think so, because I don't think Tiffany is hyped up as big of a threat as Kenzie. Again, the dragons, they are the
threat.
They
Okay.
are the threat. Jesse was the threat in 43. You
Omer
know,
was a threat. Ricard. We
Yep.
have Carson. We have
if you want to talk about Emily, maybe, but
Emily.
it was
You
too
could say.
early.
You could say. I don't really know what you could say for 45. Anyway,
Exactly.
Right.
There was no dragon.
yeah, like Kenji would be a very on paper final boss for the winner. And yeah, the Banu effect. Yeah, Banu's set his fangs deep. It's going to be interesting to see, how they take Banu's word here, especially with Ben staying in the game, because Ben went on the journey with Banu. I can't believe we're still talking about him. Ben went on the journey with Banu and is still in the game and has that information. Liz might not necessarily say it out to the heavens, but Ben certainly could.
Yep.
And so that could put Kenzie and Yanu as well in a bad spot because Kenzie is a pretty big threat.
Well, Liz also told Nami, and so I could see like Tevin kind of saying like, "Look, Liz, kind of said this whole thing to us." Also, Chris, I kind of disagree with Yanu winning because I just think when you're the losing tribe, you would just see them. You can play the.
We got to do it.
You can do it for Chris Dick.
There we go.
But yeah, when you're the losing tribe, it's kind of like Matt Singh and Yua and even Lulu to a lesser extent. But Lulu had a lot of quitters. You just get screen time, and the fact that we saw screen time from like Nami after Yanu lost, right? Like Yanu loses the challenge, and then we hear about like Venus running around. I think that says more about Yanu than it did if they got 100% of the screen time.
Absolutely. We could, I think the most likely situation in terms of a small tribe entering a big tribe, I think it's akin to the brains from Cagayan in a way. Not
Yep.
necessarily alliance versus alliance like that, more just kind of the underdogs. And they're all very clear players in the game. Like Spencer was a player, Cass was a player, Tasha was a player. They were all really, really strong players. And all three of Yanu are very, very strong players. And that goes for Q. Sweet victory here. We moved them up. Well, I moved them up. But he's still up there. Is it all right? Well, let's talk about this quote here at the end of the immunity challenge. Is this what it feels like to win? Q says that after they win the challenge. It's subtitled, positive music. Is it a winner moment?
It could be. It could be, right? I think of everyone going into the merge off Yanu, I kind of think Q is in the best spot because I feel like very quickly people will sniff out that Tiffany is really kind of at the core of Yanu because Q's gonna be like, I trust Tiffany. Ken's gonna be like, I trust Tiffany. Tiffany was the big threat, and the only thing they've heard from Q is that he's a bigger guy on a tribe with Hunter and Tim. So I don't really think they can be gung-ho about voting out like the big athletic men because that's going to cause them to form an alliance and, try to gain numbers. And
do you think there's potential with Q? He's talked a lot more than expected or a lot more than desired for a winner about quitting, about throwing in the towel. We saw a really cool secret scene of Q for this episode of him acting like Rocky, punching in the confessional. We didn't see that. And we saw Q potentially contemplating quitting again. We've seen a lot of that. And that raises not necessarily for a quit, but just in terms of negativity and not really being good.
So I don't know, because there was logic the second time where he was like, I'm just trying to be weak in front of Kenzie. I could see that. I think it's overplaying a little bit. I'm not saying Q is like number one, number two. There's a reason why I still have him at number 7 because I do think he was overplaying there. I do see the strategy, and in the confessional right after, he's like, no, I would rather drop dead before I give up, which I understand. I was concerned, though, when I saw the next time on Survivor, right? I saw the preview and I saw Q throwing in the towel. I messaged the Survivor Now people and I said, if I draft another quitter, I am never watching Survivor again. I was fully ready for Q to quit this episode.
If you quit at any point in this season, I'm holding you to that. You are done.
Yeah, I know. I was so scared, bro.
I'll hire Jay or Chris or Mona to be my new co-host.
Or Troyzan, bro.
Or Troyzan, yeah. Get him on here. Let's do it.
I don't think he's gonna quit. I do see Q though as like just being a little demanding, not socially aware, kind of like Bruce, maybe. But just I don't know.
Couple things here. One for Mona first. Q is going to lose the Kenzie battle. Yeah, that's still a big thread. Q's targeting Kenzie and that not coming to fruition. That's a very important thread. We saw a huge thread pay off this episode. To hop back to Seeger real quick. Ben and Charlie's song off in episode 2. This episode was the payoff for that, right? Like we saw Charlie keep Ben around. That was the payoff for that moment. And so we're still waiting because it was not a quick, tiny moment that he was targeting Kenzie. It was a matter of subject for a couple episodes. Yeah. And so it's important to keep in mind. And then the other thing, what do you think of slow-mo? I thought it was fine. A little heavy-handed from the editors, but
I want to bring up Mr. Editor-in-Chief Randy. He I think hates everything new era.
I think he does as well.
And I kind of like the new era more than a lot of people. I will defend.
I do as well. I defend it.
Maybe it's because I do these podcasts now where I really think about the edit. And so I watch them differently. Like I watch these episodes differently than I did when I started watching. I kind of liked it because I could kind of tell I thought going into the episode that Yanu was surviving. I think, honestly, last episode, I called Siga going to Tribal and Yanu winning. Did I not? And so I think that, and plus, it was kind of teased, like right before the challenge started in the transition, the 2 bags getting thrown at the totem poles were, or the
that
idols.
Was a clue I missed. I completely missed that.
Everyone missed that.
Yeah.
And so I liked it because I think it was hammy. It was cheesy. It was corny, but Yanu was losing a lot. Let them have some cheese, bro.
Let them have a little cheese. Yeah, Edder's been so goofy in the new era. Yeah, a little bit. They get a little heavy-handed. I'm going to go back to a comment I saw earlier to support this. Jay, Austin, Coin Chase. Austin says D is the winner. Yeah, that was pretty heavy-handed. Clues are good. Some of them can be a little too strong, though.
But then we got Gem.
And then we got screwed with Gem. So, it's a double-edged sword. We're going to Tiffany, my number one. We're finally there. I'm done with it. I don't care anymore. Tiffany's my number one. And that is my crackpot theory.
Yeah.
I have Tiffany number one. It's tough, right? This is a shaky number one. This isn't a truly confident number one here. Tiffany is my winner pick, so obviously I got to support that. But Tiffany is a tough cookie to crack here. She's doing well. She's making it to the Mergatory. I do worry. Same time that Q and Kenzie go, I'm really tight with Tiff. Bam.
Yeah.
Tiff's the one running the tribe, not really Kenzie. And Tiff goes home in a flurry of disasters here. But Tiff minus Banu equals winner.
It's hard to rank because we didn't see a lot of strategy from Yanu this episode outside of like Q throwing in the towel, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Which honestly, a break from Yanu was really good for all the players involved because they needed the breather. I think Tiffany can get solidified as a number one, or I could see her dropping back down because I've been very careful about Tiffany. I've always had her at number 6 to last episode. I moved her down.
You've been very cautious about putting Tiffany too high.
I've been cautious about Yanu in general. Episode 2, I thought they were way too negative as a tribe to win. And I still kind of carry that sentiment of like, I don't really see them as a winner. I see more of Siga being the tribe to look out for in the under the radar way. And then Nami's going to sponge up all the screen time in the merge because of their dysfunction. I think I have a number 3 because I think of anyone from Yanu, Tiffany is always going to be the winner. I think
we've said that pretty much since episode 1. Like we've been on that nose.
And so, and I moved her up because I think the top 3 is it's solid for me. I could see any one of these 3 and I can move them around any which way.
And remind the class that's Hunter, Tiffany, and
Mariah.
Yeah,
I have a number 2. And so I could see any one of those 3, right? Because I think honestly, this season is going to have an under the radar win. I think last season it was a very strategic, like we kind of pulled it. It's like, we're going to have a woman win. It's going to be great. It's going to be whatever. Like I know a guy's going to win. 44. It was always a battle between Carolyn and Jam Jam. I think this season we're going to be disappointed, and by we I mean the casuals, and I think we will be vindicated. Low key.
I think that's pretty fair. I think they're not gonna. I think a lot of the casuals are gonna like Hunter, and then if Hunter loses, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be rough on Twitter, bud, and Facebook as well. Jay with a snipe here. I didn't even see this either. I've never even heard about this. The immunity idol was in the background in Kenzie's montage saying, "What are y'all doing?" That's a really good read, Jay. You want to come be a guest on this show? Come hang out, man. It'd be a good time. All right. We go to the tiers. Lots of pluses. I felt kind of this episode, so I hang out. And as Jeff and as us as Stockwatch said, most vicious season ever. Here we go. Quick fire. Great episodes for Hunter, Tiffany, and Mariah, our top 3. Hunter still cooking, Tiffany another good one, especially with winning, and Mariah keeping it in contention. The kind of what the F winner. 3 from each tribe, or 1 from each tribe rather, keeping it high. We have Charlie, Q, and Kenzie at buys. Q and Kenzie with the win this episode, giving them some longevity. And Charlie being the decision maker certainly helps his case at least a little bit. At and stay is Tevin. Tevin is flown right on the line. He needs a really good merge and to really pick it up to continue as a strong contender in the game. We have a sell at Maria and Ben. I could see Maria being a stay as well, but her not really getting the bulk of the strategic content of this decision, especially when she was apparently more close to Jem than Ben, kind of raises some concern. And Ben being outed as a little bit of a shield, could be targeted pretty early. And then we have Tim, Soda, Liz, and Venus at no chance, no buy. And remember the rule book, everybody. We're going all the way back. Someone has a slash, they're done. If we're wrong, we're wrong. The slash is permanent now. There's no going
Liz
back.
Wilcox, 2024.
If Liz wins the season, we are sorry.
If Liz wins the season, I'll release my original Survivor audition video.
There you go. That's the promise for the season as well. Yep. Chris with a quick little comment here. Troy's in. I was about to tell a Russell Hand story and the lightning strikes. Yeah, that's pretty fitting.
Yeah.
Troyzan
is a carrier, man. I love Troyzan. I'm the biggest Troyzan fan there is, bro.
Troyzan was awesome to have on here. Hunter and Jem with a 5 for the visibility. Lowest, Liz, Soda, Tevin, 1. Q with the CP positive. Tiffany with the middle road positive. Worst rating, Jen with the CPN. Venus with the middle road negative. Key takeaways, Venus isn't enough, ruled her out. Mariah, content where it's not needed. Q, good on paper, could be circumstance, winner moment in the challenge. And the last thing I want to point out, Tim not getting a negative tone. I felt like it was the majority of it was on Jem, not really as much Tim this episode, but I could see it.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just a weird season. No. Genuine thoughts. I think just keep an eye out for Mariah because she is getting content every single episode, whether it's small or not. The fact that she got content on Sega, the tribe that won everything except for this episode, says a lot. The fact that she was shielded says a lot. The fact that she even like kind of called that Ben and Charlie were getting closer together. Venus, don't be fooled. Just because she's an underdog does not mean she has a good shot to win. Narratively.
For sure.
I don't know about Shot in the Dark. That was weird because we didn't really predict the Shot in the Dark last season because how can you?
This is the last one. Idol player or successful Shot in the Dark. I mean, I definitely think a Shot in the Dark is plausible. You know, it's a big tribe, lots of people. The fear could overwhelm. You know, there's a lot of votes in there as well. Idol play, surely. I mean, we have Tiff with the idol still. Hunter has the Beware advantage. Keep that in mind. He still doesn't have a vote. He won't vote next round. But he has the Beware advantage, and so we're going to see how that pans out maybe earlier in this next episode. So you don't think so, though?
I don't. It's not Shot in the Dark. I think we might get a failed Shot in the Dark. I could see like Soda being targeted, trying to play it, fails. She gets voted out unanimously. I think that we could get like a late stage idol play. I don't think we'll get anything crazy. But even then, if we do, it's just too hard to predict. I could see like Tevin getting idled out. You know, I could see maybe Tiffany getting idled out.
Yeah, again, this is the most vicious season ever. So we got to keep that in mind. We haven't seen a whole lot of viciousness, a little bit, but we got to see it.
It went away episode 2.
Jack for the failed Shot in the Dark. I hope not 46. Yeah. Will.
Jack.
This has been the stocks.
Calm down.
Do you have anything else to say?
No. This is an open letter to Bruce. If you want to, join us, I kind of have my band named after you. I'm just saying.
Official Saving Bruce.
Official Saving Bruce.
You have a concert soon, don't you?
Yeah, April 6th. If you are in Catonsville, Maryland, all 4 of you.
Come see it, y'all. All right. Thank you for watching the most seismic mistake in Stockwatch history. We hope over the course of this episode we've instilled some confidence back. If we haven't, we're sorry. We thank you all for watching, and we will see you all for episode 6.